Part 5. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 41. Chapter 41 Whipping, Update 1, please subscribe. Taoist priest Qingyang originally thought that Prince Jing's body was just an ordinary ghost, but he didn't know that the other party was not afraid of his spells at all. Every attack he made was easily avoided. Seeing that the move failed, Taoist master Qinjiang's face became darker and darker. Originally, when the steward of Prince Jing's mansion came to the temple, he wanted to invite his master. However, his master happened to be traveling and he finally got this opportunity. This is the best opportunity to make friends with Prince Jing, so don't mess it up. At this point, all I can do is grit my teeth and get rid of the evil spirits in Prince Jing. As long as he can make Prince Jing return to normal, Prince Jing and Princess Jing will definitely look at him with admiration in the future. Taoist priest Qingyang, who wanted to understand the serious relationship, used the paper talisman weapons he carried continuously, but he still couldn't do anything about the ghost. Those talismans and magic weapons are rare and good things. If you take away the evil spirit, you can make the best use of them. The problem is, a bunch of talismans were used and the magic weapon was damaged, but it couldn't hurt the evil spirit at all. Taoist priest Qinjiang's flesh ached very much. What made him even more angry and vomiting blood was that the evil spirit actually got aggrieved and said, "You unscrupulous Taoist priest, I am a living person, not a monster. Where did you pick up those rags from? If you put them on me, my dress was burned, can you afford to pay for it?" Taoist priest Qingyang was so angry with the evil spirit that his heart ached. Seeing Prince Jing and Princess Jing's brows getting more and more frowning, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and take out the last talisman paper from the bottom of the box. After using a few more spells, Taoist priest Qingyang made a feint and took advantage of the ghost's unpreparedness to throw the talisman onto Prince Jing's arm. The ghost was carelessly burned by the talisman, and his sinister face twisted. Seeing that the talisman was about to force him away from Prince Jing's body, the ghost tried his best to slap Taoist priest Qinjiang's chest with his palm. The ghost left his body, and Prince Jing instantly fell to the ground softly. Taoist priest Qingyang was knocked back a lot by the palm before he stabilized his body and spat out a mouthful of blood. Jing-er. Seeing their son fainted, Prince Jing and his wife were shocked. Fortunately, Chang'an, who was beside him, was smart and rushed over to catch Prince Jing. Prince Jing breathed a sigh of relief and turned to Taoist priest Qingyang, "Taoist priest, what's going on with my dog?" Taoist priest Qingyang wiped the blood from his mouth, put away his mahogany sword, and said comfortingly, "My lord, don't worry, the prince is fine. The evil spirit has been destroyed by Pandeo." Seeing that her son had fainted, Princess Jing looked anxious. "Then why haven't you woke up yet? Ask the boy to pinch Ren's Hong and he will wake up." Chang'an was smart and immediately stretched out his hand and pinched Prince Jing's son. Prince Jing's eyelids moved a few times, and then he opened his eyes. "Jing-er, you finally woke up. You almost scared your mother to death." When Princess Jing saw her son waking up, she looked excited and her eyes were red. Prince Jing frowned, looking confused. "Concubine, what happened?" Princess Jing didn't want her son to know that she was possessed by a ghost, so she quickly shook her head. It's okay, you may have been too tired recently and fainted by accident. It's not a big deal. Tomorrow, ask your father to ask an imperial doctor to come over and check for a safe pulse, and prescribe some medicine to treat it." Prince Jing nodded. "Okay, I'll listen to my mother and concubine. It's my son's fault that makes his father, queen, mother, and concubine worried." The princess was a little surprised to see her son being so obedient. "But then I thought again, maybe my son was tired, so he was more docile and sensible than usual." When King Jing saw that his son was talking as usual, his frown finally relaxed. "Taoist Master Qingyang is very capable. Thank you for your hard work today. Please follow me to the flower hall, have some refreshments and rest for a while. I will send someone to send the Taoist master back. Taoist priest Qingyang felt a burning pain in his chest. In order to prevent Prince Jing from seeing what was wrong with him, he tried his best to act like a fairy and said, "Your Majesty, thank you. This is what a poor Taoist should do. It was a pity that I spent a lot of talismans today, but fortunately I got rid of the evil spirit." Presumably Prince Jing could give him a little more thanks because he was injured. Seeing that her son was fine, Princess Jing finally felt relieved and said, "Chang'an, why don't you help the prince down to rest?" "Yes, princess." Chang'an nodded and quickly stepped forward to help Prince Jing up. Princess Jing was relieved to see her son peacefully. It seems that after this experience, this idle son finally became sensible. Ning Chui did not expect that Taoist master Qingyang was very capable. Seeing that Prince Jing's matter had been settled, Ning Chui was ready to say goodbye to Prince Jing and his wife and take Ling Chu back. But before he spoke, Ling Chu suddenly said, "Prince Jing, please wait a moment." Since Ling Chu entered the palace, she has been so quiet that people almost forgot her existence. She suddenly spoke, attracting everyone's attention. Prince Jing stared at her and then said, "What's wrong, girl?" "Your Majesty, should you give me the 1,000 taels of silver notes?" Prince Jing was stunned. "What kind of bank note?" Ling Chu said meaningfully, "That's the 1,000 taels you owe me. My prince has been a little tired recently, and I couldn't remember when I borrowed the girl's money." Ling Chu smiled playfully, "It doesn't matter if you forget, I can remind you. Last time at General Minggui's mansion, you insisted on making a bet with me, and ended up losing 1,000 taels of silver to me. Today is the deadline, please keep your promise and give me the banknote." Ning Chui frowned when he heard this. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw that Prince Jing's face seemed to twist quickly. But when he looked carefully, he didn't see anything unusual. The girl was talking about a bet. "Don't worry, I will always remember this. It's just that I don't have so many banknotes with me right now. Well, I'll have someone deliver it to you another day." Even though Crown Prince Jing pretended to be relaxed, he was so heartbroken that he almost bled. He actually lost 1,000 taels, he was really a prodigal. Ning Chui's eyes flashed, and he looked at Prince Jing quietly in the dark. Ling Chu knew that he was suspicious and shook his head at him invisibly. He turned to Prince Jing and said, "Your Majesty, since I'm already here, let me take the banknote with you so that you don't have to make an extra trip." "It doesn't matter, I'll just ask the servant to take it to you another day." Prince Jing looked unhappy. Ling Chu had a smile on his face, but did not let go. "Why, the prince has a distinguished status and has lived in fine clothes since he was a child. Could it be that he wants to default on the debt?" Prince Jing's face changed. Prince Jing on the side frowned. Although his son was a bit dandy, he was always willing to admit defeat. Why was he a little out of character today? Seeing Prince Jing's unhappy expression, Prince Jing hesitated for a moment, took out a banknote from his sleeve pocket and handed it over. Ling Chu walked over and reached out to take the banknote. What no one expected was that Ling Chu suddenly pulled out a soft whip from his body with lightning speed and whipped it towards Prince Jing. Everyone's expressions changed suddenly when they were frightened by this incident. "It's now on the shelves. Since I started writing this article, I have met many new book friends, and some are old book friends who have followed me from the previous book. I am happy to meet you all. Again, thank you all for reading, voting, collecting, commenting, and giving rewards every day. It is with your support that we can go through rounds of PK and make this book go from the bottom of the new book list to the top of the list. 1. Sincerely thank you all again for your support. I would also like to thank my editor for his continued support and guidance. Next, I will try my best to write a good book so that everyone can meet me and live up to my expectations. Finally, the first subscription data is very important. We urge everyone to subscribe and support genuine reading. Thank you. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 42. Chapter 42, Counterfeiting, second update, please subscribe. Ling Chu whipped out the whip, and Prince Jing screamed, his eyes rolled up, and his body fell limply to the ground. King Jing's face changed when he saw his son being whipped. He wanted to go forward to check, but was stopped by Ning Chui. Don't worry, Your Majesty, the prince is fine. Prince Jing paused and glared at Ning Chui dissatisfied. His son even fainted, is this okay? Others didn't know why Ling Chu whipped Prince Jing, but Taoist priest Qin Jiang's face changed. Others didn't notice anything unusual, but he could vaguely hear Prince Jing's howl just now, and something seemed wrong. Seeing that Princess Jing was in a hurry and wanted to go forward to check, Ling Chu stretched out his hand and stopped her. The princess is at ease, the prince is fine. Princess Jing was furious, and just about to get angry, she saw her son's eyes opened and he woke up. Why do you hit someone without saying a word? Prince Jing shouted angrily at Ling Chu with a dark face. Ling Chu sneered and said disgustedly, I beat you naturally because you stink too much. Chang An's just raised foot was instantly nailed to the ground like a long nail. I originally saw my heir apparent being beaten and wanted to step forward to stop him. But after hearing Miss Ling's words, he suddenly felt a chill around him, and he couldn't move any further. The Crown Prince Jing was furious, wantless, do you know that I am the Crown Prince Jing? Ling Chu rolled his eyes at him, of course I know who you are, but the question is, do you know who I am? Who are you? Prince Jing's eyes were dumbfounded, but he couldn't say anything for a long time. Ling Chu sneered, what, you don't know? Prince Jing became angry because of embarrassment, there are so many ladies in Kyoto, how do I know who you are? I don't remember, so what's the big fuss? Ling Chu sneered, but his mouth was quite stiff. That makes sense. If you don't remember this, it really doesn't matter. Ling Chu nodded in agreement, but then changed the subject, okay, although they pretend to be quite similar, they are just fake. Prince Jing's eyes tightened, what's fake? I don't know what you are talking about. I said you are not Prince Jing at all. Although you imitated his words and deeds so well that they can be fake, you can't hide it from me. There is no point in pretending any longer. Prince Jing and Princess Jing looked stunned, and their suspicious eyes flickered back and forth between Ling Chu and Prince Jing. Taoist priest Qin Jiang's face was dark and gloomy. He didn't expect that he would miss. For a moment, he wanted to stop the girl from talking. His eyes narrowed when he saw the whip in her hand. It turned out to be the Bodhi whip. Ling Chu did not expect that Taoist Qin Yang was average in ability, but still had a good eye. Her whip is indeed made of Bodhi branches. But it is not an ordinary Bodhi branch. I heard from the master that there once was a Bodhi tree in Xianqing Temple that had not known its age. The temple owners of Xianqing Temple in the past generations liked to chant sutras under the tree and even sit under the Bodhi tree. Her great-great-grandmaster carefully selected this Bodhi branch from the Bodhi tree, refined it into a Bodhi whip through special techniques, and placed it in front of the statue of her ancestor for many years before it was made. The real purpose of this Bodhi whip is to whip ghosts. It was a magical weapon specially given to her by her master for self-defense. Who says I am not the heir to Prince Jing, my father, my mother, my concubine, my wet nurse, and Chang and all remember me clearly? How can I be a fake? If you are real, then why don't you know who I am? My prince has said it before, there are so many ladies in Kyoto, if I have to remember all the cats and dogs, I will be exhausted. Well said, why did you just give me 1,000 taels of silver notes for free? Prince Jing's face changed. Prince Jing and his wife frowned, why are they giving away 1,000 taels of silver notes for free? Isn't that a result of losing a bet? Ling Chu sighed, saying so many words, I was really tired. What, you don't know how to justify yourself? In fact, We didn't make a bet at all. If you are really Prince Jing, how could you not know that you didn't lose 1,000 taels of silver at all? She used magic power to whip Prince Jing earlier. But Ling Chu didn't expect that she had overestimated the weakness of this body. After the whipping, she actually felt that her soul was faintly unstable. In order to prevent the ghost from discovering her abnormality, she eased her discomfort by speaking. Seeing that he was exposed, the ghost sneered sinisterly, "I didn't expect that you, a girl with more magic power than that naughty old man, would be able to see it out." Prince Jing's face darkened. He didn't expect that the things attached to his son were not taken away by Taoist Qing Yang. Princess Jing was even more shaken. The dirty thing was still on her son. She even pretended to be him and deceived both her and the prince. Ling Chu glanced at the ghost and sighed, "People have different paths since you are dead. Why didn't you go to the underworld instead of staying in the human world, and even got involved with Prince Jing? Since you have been exposed, I advise you to let Prince Jing go and return his soul to the underworld, otherwise don't blame me for being rude." The puppet soul not only refused to listen, but instead advised Ling Chu, "Girl, please stop meddling in my affairs. I will never leave Prince Jing." Seeing that the exhortation failed, Ling Chu sighed. "Forget it, I have said too much and I am exhausted. Let's do it quickly. If we delay it any longer, if we get tired and faint, then we can play Dafa." Ling Chu tied the Bodhi whip in his hand back to his waist and slowly took out a simple rattle from his sleeve pocket. Seeing the ringing bell, Taoist Master Qin Jiang's expression changed. What is the identity of this girl? Not only does she have a Bodhi whip in her hand, but she also has a soul-calming bell. The ghost saw the rattle and didn't know what it was, but as a puppet ghost's instinct, she couldn't help but turn around and want to escape. But how could Ling Chu let her get her wish? Hold the secret with your left hand, ring the bell with your right hand, recite the incantation in your mouth, and coordinate with the Tiangang step under your feet. When the soul-suppressing bell rang, ordinary people would hear the sound as clear and crisp, with a lingering sound, but the female figure felt that her whole ghost was trembling and she had a splitting headache. As the bell rang, Ling Chu's face gradually turned pale, but he could only grit his teeth and persist. The power of the soul-suppressing bell was extraordinary, and the ghost turned around and wanted to escape. Just as Ling Chu was about to take action, he found that Qing Yang Dao had taken the lead and threw out a long rope to tie Prince Jing tightly. "Monster, let's see where you run away." Ling Chu glanced at Taoist priest Qing Yang, said nothing, took out the ghost exorcism talisman and photographed it on Prince Jing. The female puppet was instantly ejected from Prince Jing's body. Prince Jing rolled his eyes and fainted again. The corner of Ling Chu's mouth twitched. This unfortunate prince had fainted several times today. The female puppet left Prince Jing's body. When she saw Ling Chu stop the soul-suppressing bell, she turned around and wanted to run away. Ling Chu took out a puppet rope and threw it up. The female puppet was instantly and unable to move. Ling Chu breathed a sigh of relief, put away the soul-calming bell, and reached out to wipe the sweat from his forehead. She was really exhausted. The female puppet was full of evil spirits. If she hadn't been injured by Taoist Master Qin Jiang's talisman earlier and was whipped with a Bodhi whip by her, she might not have been able to restrain her so easily. Ning Chui I saw that her face was pale, her forehead was covered with sweat, and her eyebrows were furrowed, and she thought that her body was really bad. Seeing that her son had fainted again, Princess Jing couldn't help but feel worried and rushed towards him. "Thank you 2022908085043919, Yuan Yu, Leibeo, Rose, what do you think you are, Hui Yatu? Add, a cup of tea. CA, 160727107307307/202211301815049778, Gummy, Drifting in the Wind, Orchid, Maybe, Not Qualified at, 20230601621658, 202303061958333531, People in the Misty Rain, 2022062208170606, Lan, Lin Long, Ashine and other book friends votes. Thank you again for your support. It's now on the shelves, and we sincerely ask everyone to support this book as always. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 43. Chapter 43 Peach Blossom Tribulation, 3rd update. Please subscribe. Seeing the rope used by Ling Chu, Taoist Qin Jiang's face darkened again. This bundle of rope turned his ordinary rope into rubbish. Miss Ling didn't know where she came from, but everything she brought out was a rare and good thing. At that moment, Taoist priest Qingyang could not help but have the idea of taking it for himself. Just as this thought arose, Taoist master Qingyang suddenly felt that the hairs on his body stood on end. Using the cover of drinking tea, my peripheral vision quickly swept around. From the corner of his eye, he saw that Commander Na Ning seemed to be eyeing him. Taoist priest Qingyang felt a chill in his heart and quickly gathered his thoughts. I didn't expect Master Ning to be so perceptive. He just noticed the thought that just occurred to him. Seeing that Princess Jing was anxious, Taoist priest Qingyang hurriedly stepped forward to comfort her. Don't worry, princess. The prince is fine. He just fainted and will wake up soon. Princess Jing pursed her lips, feeling a little angry at his indifferent comfort. It seemed that this disciple of Taoist priest Ming Zhen was not as powerful as the manager said. I just saw him untying the rope that bound his son, so it was hard to get angry. As soon as Prince Jing opened his eyes, he saw his mother's concubine's eyes were red. Without thinking, he blurted out immediately, "Concubine, why are you crying? Did his father spoil his concubine and kill his wife, or did he go to a brothel to drink wine and provoke you? Are you sad?" Ling Chu's mouth twitched. This Prince Jing is indeed a well-known dandy in Kyoto, and he dares to embarrass his father in front of him. Prince Jing's face darkened. There are no rules. Is this what you should say? Had it not been for the presence of outsiders, he almost couldn't help but want to ask for help from this unattractive son. Prince Jing just woke up and didn't even notice that his father was standing aside. Hearing a familiar voice, he turned around to face Prince Jing's green and black face, and said with a sneer, "Father, why are you here too?" From the corner of his eye, he saw Ning Chui next to him. Prince Jing was surprised. "Hey, brother Ning, why are you here? And Miss Ling, why are you here too?" Prince Jing's face suddenly changed when he thought of something, and he blurted out, "You are not here to ransack the house, are you?" Prince Jing slapped his son on the back of the head angrily, "If you talk nonsense again, you will be grounded from today." The princess glared at Prince Jing dissatisfiedly, but she was relieved to see that her son was the same as before, even though he was indifferent. However, just to be sure, she turned around and asked Ling Chu, "Miss Ling, is my son okay?" Prince Jing was puzzled and said, "Mother, concubine, if I am not doing well, what can happen to me? Not only is there something wrong, but the big problem has not been dealt with yet." Ling Chu raised his hand and motioned Prince Jing to look at the rope floating in the air. Seeing the strange floating rope, Prince Jing's expression changed. He remembered what he had forgotten before. The female puppet was with the rope and couldn't move. When she saw Prince Jing waking up, she couldn't help but struggle desperately. Your Majesty, please save me, I am your crown princess, let me go." The ropes twisted in the air as the female puppet struggled, making those who couldn't see the puppet feel a chill rising from their feet. Ling Chu had a headache from her noise. He flipped his wrist and held the soul calming bell in his hand. "Shut up, it's so noisy." The female puppet remembered the horror of the soul calming bell just now, and her body trembled, and the sharp sound suddenly stopped. Seeing that she was frightened, Ling Chu put away the soul calming bell. Prince Jing's face changed when he saw the rope floating in the air. He rubbed the chicken skin on his arm with his hand and asked Ling Chu, "Miss Ling, then, what is that?" The soul-suppressing bell has no effect on ordinary people, but Ling Chu's soul is inherently unstable, and the ringing actually has an effect on her. Now she felt that her head was throbbing, and she didn't even bother to say another word. "Your crown princess." "Oh, crown princess." Prince Jing was stunned for a moment, then stared when he realized what he was doing. "Wait a minute, what did you just say?" Ling Chu glanced at him and repeated slowly, "Your crown princess." The female puppet heard her words. Although she didn't dare to yell anymore, she nodded desperately to Prince Jing. It's a pity that Prince Jing doesn't have yin and yang eyes, so he can't see the ghost. Prince Jing was so angry that he jumped up and down. "What the hell, Miss Ling, don't talk nonsense, I haven't married yet. Let alone the crown princess, he has grown so old that he doesn't even have a confidant." Hearing Prince Jing's words, an evil aura rose up from the female figure. However, when he met Ling Chu's cold eyes, he couldn't help but be frightened, and the evil aura suddenly dissipated. Ling Chu pointed at the female puppet and said, "She said this." Prince Jing was a little frightened when he saw the strange rope floating in the air, but his unjust anger outweighed his fear. He sneered angrily in the direction of the female puppet. "How dare you, a cat or a dog, talk nonsense in front of this prince?" Seeing Prince Jing's repeated denials, the evil spirit on the ghost's body increased by 2 points, and the evil voice was shrill, "I'm not talking nonsense, I'm not talking nonsense, I am the crown prince, yes, I am the crown prince." Ling Chu was so noisy that his head throbbed, and he simply took out the soul calming bell and said, "Shut up, if you can't speak properly, I don't mind shutting you down." When the female puppet saw the soul calming bell, her body trembled and her voice stopped. The ringing of the soul calming bell was really terrifying. If it happened again, she would probably lose her soul. Ling Chu's ears were clear, but in order to threaten the female puppet, she did not put away the soul-suppressing bell this time, but kept it in her hand. "Miss Ling, what do you say about that thing?" Although he couldn't see the puppet's soul, Prince Jing felt the air around him was chilly. "She insisted that she was your crown prince." Ling Chu saw the female puppet being so angry, and it didn't feel like she was lying. "Miss Ling, my son has indeed not married yet." Although Prince Jing has reached the age to marry his concubine, Princess Jing has always intended to start seeing girls for him, but she has been choosing from left to right and has never met a suitable girl. Prince Jing frowned and glared at his son. "Tell me honestly, did you cause this by messing around outside?" Ling Chu also felt that this was possible. After all, Prince Jing was already an adult. There are many young men like him in Kyoto. Even if they are not married yet, they still have many concubines around them. Prince Jing was at a young age. Perhaps he had some trouble outside and lost the heart of a girl, which led to this misfortune. What Ling Chu didn't know was that she had wronged Prince Jing. Princess Jing also looked at her son suspiciously. Could it be that the son really did something to offend the girl outside, so that she still came to haunt him after her death? "Jing, if you have done anything to offend another girl, you must admit it frankly." Princess Jing was worried. If her son really did something wrong, she would have to think of ways to make amends. If this matter is not handled well and the female puppet becomes a demon and haunts him every day, she may even lose her life. Seeing everyone's eyes as if they were looking at heartless people, Prince Jing was so angry that he shouted, "Father, king, mother, concubine, am I that kind of person? I'm still a child. Please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe. Say important things 3 times. Babies, don't stop voting in your hands. Whether you can stay at the top of the list depends on you. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 44. Chapter 44, Unjustly Accused, 4th update, please subscribe. Being suspected by his parents, Prince Jing was really angry and aggrieved. In order to prove his innocence, he went out of his way to tell all the embarrassing things about himself as a child, without even caring about his face. I bullied another girl and even caused her to seek death. Is this kind of thing allowed to be admitted casually? Don't say he hasn't done it. If he really did such a sinful thing, his father would have his legs broken. He is a famous dandy in Kyoto, yes, but he can't do everything. His father is the emperor's younger brother, and his status is somewhat sensitive. In order to avoid making the emperor suspicious, his father could only be an idle prince who only knew pleasure and had no ambition. As the legitimate son of Prince Jing, his father never asked him to do anything to improve himself since he was a child. As a dandy, as long as he doesn't rebel, he can eat, drink and have fun, fight and walk birds, throw pots and shoot arrows, and even be a bit domineering, and his father will let him. But you can't do things like bullying the people and bullying girls from good families. When Princess Jing heard what her son said, she felt that she had wronged her son. As Princess Jing, she naturally knew the emperor's taboos. In order to ensure the safety of the family, Princess Jing had no choice but to accept that her husband could only be an idle prince, and her only legitimate son could only be a playboy. Although she accepted her fate, Princess Jing felt that she owed her son. She does not have to follow her son in everything. Princess Jing feels that it is okay to be a dandy, but not a short-lived dandy. For the sake of her son's health, Princess Jing did not marry her son early and take concubines like other women in Kyoto. Therefore, let alone wives and concubines, Prince Jing did not even have a single maiden with him. Prince Jing and his wife never let him go to the brothel to drink wine, because they were worried that he would hurt his body by wandering around outside. Miss Ling, then, could it be that the girl got the wrong person? Princess Jing originally wanted to say something to the female puppet, but she was afraid that her words would irritate her and she would suffer. When Prince Jing saw Ling Chu frowning, he was afraid that she wouldn't believe him, so he quickly swore, "Miss Ling, I really don't have a crown prince, and I have never bullied a girl. If I lie, I will be struck by lightning." Ling Chu believed that Prince Jing was not lying and that the boyishness in him was indeed not broken. She also had a headache for a moment. If this matter was not handled well, the female puppet might turn into a resentful ghost, which would be very troublesome to deal with. But the female puppet kept saying that she was the crown prince of Prince Jing, but Prince Jing had not married yet, so I don't know where this peach blossom disaster came from. Seeing that Ling Chu was also helpless, Ning Chui, who had been standing quietly aside, reminded her, "Ask the girl her name, where she lives, and if she has any family members." Ling Chu slapped his forehead. "Yes, since things have reached a stalemate, it would be better to start elsewhere. Maybe we can find some clues from the girl's family." Ling Chu turned to the female puppet and said, "Have you heard it? What is your name, where do you live, and do you have any relatives at home?" Some people become puppets after death, and their memories of their lives become blurred. After the death of the female puppet, she became half-informed about what happened during her lifetime. When she heard Ling Chu's question, she looked confused. "What is my name?" "My name is," barking, I don't remember." Seeing her frowning and looking in pain, Ling Chu had to change the question. "Girl, what do you like?" "What do you like?" "Like, I remembered, I like embroidery, I am an embroidery girl." "Yes, I am an embroiderer. Everyone praises me for my good embroidery skills." Thinking of the embroidery workers, the female puppet finally remembered her name and said excitedly, "By the way, my name is Xiaoyu, Yu Xiaoyu." Ling Chu nodded, "So your name is Yu Xiaoyu?" which is a good name. You like embroidery, so do you put the things you embroider on consignment in a silk and satin shop? In order to get more clues, Ling Chu could only patiently guide the female puppet to say more words. Maybe this female puppet really loves embroidery, and the memory of this aspect still remains. The owner of Songji Silk and Satin Shop said that the patterns I embroidered can be fake, but Brother Lu said that the price offered by Songji Silk and Satin Shop was too high. If it's lower, let me put the embroidery in Yongxia Pavilion and sell it for a higher price. What surprised Ling Chu was that when Brother Lu was mentioned, the female puppet showed a hint of shyness on her face. Ling Chu's heart moved and he quickly asked the female puppet, "Is Brother Lu a member of your family? What's his name?" "Brother Lu, his name is Lu Qingliu." Although there was no blood on the female puppet's pale face, Ling Chu could see admiration in her eyes. "Is Lu Qingliu your husband?" The female puppet smiled foolishly. "Brother Lu said that after he reaches high school, he will marry me." I don't know what came to mind, but the smile on the female puppet's face suddenly faded, and her voice suddenly became sharp. "Everything is a lie, it's all a lie. You heartless man, why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me? How am I inferior to her?" The female puppet didn't know what she remembered, and her expression suddenly became crazy. A line of blood and tears fell from her dull eyes. She tore her long hair with both hands and cried and shouted. "Not good." Ling Chu saw her suddenly going crazy, and the evil energy on her body was rising. He was afraid that she would lose her last consciousness and turn into a ghost, so he quickly took out a requiem talisman and photographed her in the air. The female puppet struggled for a while and then slowly calmed down. Ling Chu saw that her eyes were dull and her consciousness became more confused than before, so he gave up the plan of continuing to talk and used a container to collect the ghost of the female puppet. Prince Jing hurriedly asked, "Miss Ling, what did the puppet say? Did she recognize the wrong person? I just heard you mention Lu Qingliu. Is he the husband of the puppet?" Ling Chu shook his head. "I only found out that the girl's name is Yu Xiaoyu. As for Lu Qingliu, he should be a scholar. As for his relationship with Yu Xiaoyu, I haven't had time to ask. However, from what Yu Xiaoyu said, it seemed that Lu Qingliu had betrayed her." Prince Jing couldn't help but get excited. "So, that Lu Qingliu is the culprit who killed that female puppet. Father, mother, and concubine, you see, I didn't lie, I was wronged. He was unlucky, and he didn't know why he was mistakenly recognized by the female puppet." Prince Jing and Princess Jing were relieved to know that their son had done nothing to offend a girl. Ling Chu shook his head. "Whether Yu Xiaoyu was killed by Lu Qingliu remains to be verified." King Jing said to Ning Chui, "There are only two names, and I haven't asked about the others. I'm afraid it won't be easy to investigate. I'm afraid I'll have to ask Mr. Ning to help me investigate." Ning Chui has a good relationship with Prince Jing and did not refuse this matter. "Don't worry, Your Majesty, I will leave this matter to Jin Yiwei. By the way, Yu Xiaoyu also mentioned Songji Satin Shop and Yongxia Pavilion. You can go to those two shops and ask about it." Ling Chu thought for a while and asked Chang'an beside him to get her a set of pen, ink, paper, and inkstone. She wanted to draw the appearance of the female puppet, so that Master Ning could investigate more easily. "Huh, why is it her?" Seeing the portrait painted by Ling Chu, Prince Jing suddenly exclaimed. Requesting for subscriptions, votes, and comments. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 45. Chapter 45 The Savior, 5th update. Please subscribe. Wait a minute, didn't you say you don't know Yu Xiaoyu? Ling Chu looked at Prince Jing suspiciously. "This, Miss Ling, is this really the female puppet that Yu Xiaoyu is having with me?" Prince Jing's face looked strange. Ling Chu nodded. "It's her." "But you said you don't know her." Prince Jing looked confused. "But I didn't know she was Yu Xiaoyu." Ling Chu frowned. He didn't know the name, but he had seen the person. When Princess Jing saw the portrait, her eyes were full of surprise. I didn't expect that Miss Ling was very good at painting. At first glance, the people in this painting looked like they were alive. If she hadn't been worried about her son, she would have really wanted to study this painting technique. Princess Jing discovered that she did not know which family the girl in the painting was from. "Why don't you tell me quickly what's going on?" Prince Jing slapped his son on the back of the head again. Prince Jing stared at Prince Jing with a plaintive look on his face. "Father, can you stop hitting me on the head all the time? What if I get knocked unconscious?" Prince Jing glanced at him with disgust. "You who can't fight, you should be as stupid as you are. Could it be that when the son was born, his brain fell into his mother's womb and she forgot to take it out? Otherwise, how could you not even know whether you recognize a girl?" Prince Jing almost vomited blood when he saw the disgust in his father's eyes. If it weren't for his father, he would have beaten him until even his mother wouldn't know who it was. Princess Jing glared at her husband angrily, turned to Prince Jing and said, "Okay, tell me quickly, what is going on? Which girl is this from? How do you know her?" "Concubine, I have told you that I don't know this Yu Xiaoyu." Prince Jing looked at his concubine helplessly. Seeing everyone looking at him with confusion, Prince Jing frowned and said, "I really don't know this Yu Xiaoyu, but I once saved her life. The thing is very simple. About a month ago, Prince Jing and his people went out to the capital for hunting. When it was time to rest midway, Prince Jing went to the river to wash his hands and happened to see a girl falling into the water. There were no guards around him at the time, and when he saw the girl struggling and about to sink, Prince Jing couldn't bear to see a life lost like this, so he went into the water to save her. After I rescued the person, I found that she was still alive, so I left her on the bank of the river and then left. Ah, by the way, if you don't believe it, you can ask Chang'an." Chang'an saw the person in the portrait and recognized it. "It is true that when I found the prince, I happened to see him scooping the person up." "So that's what happened, then why have I never heard of you mentioning it?" Princess Jing glared at him. His son had kept such a big thing a secret. "Isn't this just what I was thinking about? It's not a big deal. I rescued the person and left, then went hunting with the guards, and then I forgot about it." This is indeed something that Prince Jing can do. After all, in his eyes, this is not as important as hunting. Otherwise, they wouldn't have rescued the person, then dropped them and left. Princess Jing glared at Chang'an dissatisfiedly. "The prince didn't tell you about such a big matter, so you couldn't hide it and didn't say a word." Prince Jing's face sank. If Jing failed to save her, and something unexpected happened instead, the guards like them would not be alive. Chang'an saw that Prince Jing and Princess were dissatisfied and complained in his heart. However, he could not be blamed for this matter. The prince did not allow him to say anything. Seeing Chang'an's eyes pleading for help, Prince Jing knew that it would be impossible not to make this matter clear. "Prince father and concubine, I don't let Chang'an talk about this." Seeing the glares from the two of them, Prince Jing sneered, "I'm worried that if my concubine knows about this, she will force me to kill him. I wanted to marry him back, so I asked Chang'an to keep the matter a secret." "Ling Chu, then, did you see Yu Xiaoyu again?" Prince Jing shook his head. "No, we only met once." "Then besides you and Chang'an, who else knows about this?" "No, I was worried that it would cause trouble if this matter got out, so I didn't mention it to anyone." Princess Jing frowned. It would be difficult to deal with this matter if it spread. When the son rescues someone, it is inevitable that he will come into contact with the girl. Although saving people is a good thing, if this kind of thing spreads, outsiders will definitely talk about it. From the perspective of outsiders, if a man and a woman have physical intimacy, the only option is to get married. In case a man is unwilling to marry a woman, in order to preserve her reputation, the woman may have no choice but to twist her hair and become a sister-in-law, even if she does not hang herself. The son was born into a noble family, but due to circumstances, he could only become like his father, who could only enjoy himself but could not make progress. Princess Jing felt guilty about this. To be honest, she really didn't want to force him to marry a girl he didn't want to marry. Ling Chu can understand this. However, things fell into confusion again. Since Prince Jing has indeed never done anything wrong to Yu Xiaoyu, how did she die, and why did she get entangled with him and insist on saying that she was his crown prince? Could it be that when Prince Jing saved her, they had a physical relationship, and the girl was seeking death for this? Because you know that your status is not worthy of Prince Jing's crown prince and you cannot marry him, so you want to become his crown prince's concubine after your death? This seems to make sense. However, Ling Chu always felt that things were not that simple. When Yu Xiaoyu mentioned Lu Qingliu, her eyes were filled with admiration. If she guessed correctly, then even if Lu Qingliu was not her husband, he should still be her sweetheart. It's just that since Yu Xiaoyu has a sweetheart, she shouldn't easily seek death for Prince Jing. Also, why did her expression suddenly become crazy when she mentioned Lu Qingliu? In addition, she also mentioned words such as being deceived and a heartless person. I don't know what kind of person Lu Qingliu is. Ning Chui glanced at Ling Chu and saw that her brows were so furrowed that she could kill a fly. I'm thinking too much now. I'll go out with someone to investigate with the portrait. It shouldn't take long to get a clue. Ling Chu sighed, that was all he could do. Only Yu Xiaoyu herself knows the truth of the matter best. If she could recover her memories of her life, she might be able to ask more questions. Now we can only wait for the investigation results of Jin Yiwei. Prince Jing raised his fist and saluted Ning Chui, Brother Ning, I'll leave the matter to you. He now extremely hopes that Ning Chui can find out the truth of the matter as soon as possible and return his innocence. He is the savior of the female puppet, not his husband. Prince Jing felt that he was still young and did not want to die so early and become a puppet husband to Yu Xiaoyu. Miss Ling, you have to keep an eye on that female puppet, don't let her come out again, she'll be scary. Recalling the strange things that happened to him recently, Prince Jing felt that the cold hairs all over his body stood up one after another. Ling Chu glanced at Prince Jing and saw that his eyes were blue, the soles of his feet were fluttering, and his hall was dark. She felt that something was wrong with him. 5 more than present, see if I work hard, such a hard code, do you want to hit the ticket in your hand quickly? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 46. Chapter 46. Something is wrong. Miss Ling, why are you looking at me like this? Prince Jing noticed that Ling Chu was staring at him intently, and he couldn't help but murmur in his heart. Could it be that Miss Ling fell in love with him because she saw that he was handsome and elegant? The expression on Prince Jing's face was so obvious that Ling Chu's eyes twitched. Ning Chui had a look of indifference. How could he be brothers with such a thick-headed person? Slowly, he looked at Prince Jing from head to toe. Ling Chu almost couldn't help but roll his eyes. Don't worry, I'm not blind, and I don't like girls either. What does she mean? Prince Jing was suspicious and looked down at Ling Chu's pointed gaze. Prince Jing's scalp exploded, and he wanted to crawl into the ant-hole under his feet and bury himself. Why didn't anyone remind him that he was still wearing women's clothes? Seeing her son's resentful eyes, Princess Jing felt a sense of apology in her heart. Just now, I was so focused on the female puppet that I really forgot to remind my son to change his clothes. Prince Jing looked at his son's head with disgust. His head was broken. Why don't you go down quickly? Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? Prince Jing was so angry that he jumped up and down, "Father, you always hit me on the head, and I didn't react. It's not you who hurt me." Prince Jing also admitted that he was indeed a bit smooth. However, he would naturally not admit it in front of his son. Not only would Prince Jing not admit it, he also said confidently, "You don't know who your brain is following. If I hit you a few more times, I might be able to open your mind." Prince Jing was so angry that he almost vomited blood at his father's shameless words. "Daddy, I really don't want it anymore. He will have to go to the palace to ask the Queen Mother some other day to see if he can return the goods." Prince Jing had a dark face and went back to his dormitory to change into his brocade robe. Princess Jing glared at Prince Jing fiercely and said, "Sooner or later, your son's stupid head will be beaten stupid by you." Prince Jing had a good relationship with Princess Jing. When he saw her getting angry, he wanted to apologize with a smile, but he was embarrassed because of the presence of outsiders. Ning Chui lowered his head to drink tea, with no expression on his face, as if he didn't notice the dispute between Prince Jing and his wife. In order to avoid embarrassment, Ling Chu could only pretend to be calm and drink tea with his head down. "Your Majesty, Princess, since the prince is fine, let me say goodbye first." Taoist priest Qing Yang said goodbye to Prince Jing and his wife. He had no way to do anything about the prince's affairs, and he had no shame in staying any longer. Prince Jing was in embarrassment, but Taoist priest Qin Jiang's words made him change the subject. "Taoist priest is here today. Mr. Lu sent someone to send Taoist priest Qing Yang back home. Also, remember to give Kongxiu Temple some sesame oil money." Although the invited Qing Yang Taoist priest was of average ability and did not help much, Prince Jing did not want to offend him. After all, it is not a good thing for a son to be entangled with dirty things, and considering that Taoist priest Qing Yang also used a lot of talismans and magic tools when doing things, the sesame oil money is not only a sealing fee, but also a gift to Taoist Qing Yang. Long hard work. General Manager Lu is naturally a good person to be able to hold the position of General Manager in Prince Jing's mansion. Seeing that Prince Jing had a gentle attitude towards Taoist priest Qing Yang, there was nothing wrong with his attitude. This time when he came here, he was not able to make good friends with Prince Jing, which made Taoist master Qing Yang unhappy. Even though Prince Jing's palace gave him 1,000 taels of silver notes as sesame oil money, it still couldn't make him feel better. Before leaving, Taoist priest Qing Yang glanced at Miss Ling with a gloomy expression, but he did not dare to say anything more for fear of attracting the attention of Master Ning. Pretending to be a fairy, he bid farewell to Prince Jing and his wife and followed Mr. Lu out. Prince Jing washed off the makeup on his face, put on a set of brocade robes, and then walked to the flower hall with an unnatural look on his face. Fortunately, after King Jing and Princess Jing knew something was wrong with him, they transferred all the maids and women who were serving him in the courtyard to work in other courtyards, leaving only Chang'an, the personal servant, and the wet nurse who had taken care of him since childhood. Otherwise, Prince Jing would be too embarrassed to come out to see people now. Just as Prince Jing stepped into the flower hall, he paused with his back foot and an unnatural look flashed across his face. He didn't expect that Brother Ning and Miss Ling hadn't left yet. Ling Chu noticed his embarrassment, but pretended not to notice it. "I think there is something wrong with the prince's appearance." "I haven't asked the prince yet, when did you start to realize that something was wrong with you?" It turns out that Prince Jing's face was covered with a layer of makeup by Yu Xiaoyu, so his appearance was not obvious yet. Now that he had washed his face, Ling Chu looked at the green and black yintang and felt something was wrong. When mentioning the recent events, Prince Jing looked uncomfortable. Things must start from General Minggui's mansion. That day at General Minggui's mansion, Prince Jing was frightened by Li Lingmu's ghost, but he didn't think much about it afterwards. As usual, I made an appointment with a bunch of friends to have a meal and a drink at the Zwixianja restaurant I frequented, and then went to watch a few cockfights. After wandering on the street for a long time, I took the boy back home. There was nothing unusual during this period. At night, he washed up as before and went to bed. It's just that he was woken up by the heat several times during the night for no apparent reason. It's been hot lately, and Prince Jing doesn't like to cover himself with a quilt when sleeping. But when he woke up from the heat several times during the night, he found that he was covered with a brocade quilt. But he thought he had fallen asleep, and Chang'an was worried that he would catch a cold, so he covered him with a quilt, so he didn't pay much attention. However, when he woke up the next day, he heard Chang'an confessing to him, saying that he drank too much at dinner last night and slept too hard at night to get up and take care of him. Prince Jing has always been tolerant of Chang'an and did not blame him. Prince Jing was not surprised that the quilt was not made by Chang'an. He thought it was the wet nurse who was always worried about catching cold like she did when she was a child, so she came over to cover him while he was asleep. This was not a big deal, Prince Jing forgot about it the next day. But while eating, Prince Jing discovered something strange. As usual, the cook in the mansion carefully prepared a table of delicious food for him, but he couldn't taste any of it. He thought the cook had forgotten to put in the oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar, so he didn't pay much attention. But for the following lunch and dinner, Prince Jing still couldn't taste the dishes. Prince Jing hurriedly went out to have fun with his friends and asked Chang'an to tell the cook to be more careful when preparing meals next time and not to forget to add salt again. But the cook complained that she had not forgotten to add the seasonings. When Prince Jing found out, he thought she was afraid of being punished, so he didn't dare to admit it and didn't think much about it. However, when I ate at a restaurant outside, it was the same as when I was at home, and I couldn't taste the food at all. Prince Jing had been hungry all day in his mansion, and he was already feeling unhappy. Unexpectedly, the chef in this restaurant was as careless as the cook. So in anger, he called the chef of the restaurant over and scolded him a few words. But the chef complained that he had not forgotten to add salt. Thanks to 968,751, Cheyenne, he once lived in the no man's land in my heart, Kingly L. 854-729, Gummy, take you for what you are, 202306016211658, Love is Gone, People in the Mist and Rain, votes from book friends such as Little Yellow Fish and UNU. Thank you all again for your support, I love you. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 47. Chapter 47 Strange. In order to prove that he had not wronged him, Prince Jing asked the chef to taste his dishes himself. As a result, when the chef tasted it, he found that the dish was indeed tasteless. But the chef felt strange. He remembered that he had obviously put seasonings on it. Perplexed, the chef could only attribute it to the fact that he might have been too busy and forgot to add salt. The chef thanked Prince Jing sincerely. When the restaurant manager found out, he also came over to apologize. When Prince Jing saw that they were sincerely apologizing, he couldn't say anything else, lest others think that he was bullying others, and he would have to admit that he was unlucky. But when he changed to another restaurant and ordered a large table of food and wine, he found that the chef of this restaurant also forgot to add the seasonings. At this time, Prince Jing could no longer hold back the anger in his heart. Call the chef over and give him a severe scolding. But the chef swore that he had not forgotten to add the seasonings. To prove his innocence, the chef also pointed out that in addition to salt, he also put soy sauce in the dish. Prince Jing discovered that the chef had not lied and there was indeed soy sauce in the dish. The strange thing is that he couldn't taste the soy sauce in the dishes with soy sauce. Prince Jing felt strange and tasted all the dishes on the table carefully. Only then did he realize that apart from the flavors of oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar, he could not even taste the taste of the dishes themselves. Prince Jing felt strange. After thinking about it, he thought there was something wrong with him and that he had lost his sense of taste. After apologizing to the chef, Prince Jing returned to his residence and asked the imperial physician to check his pulse. Originally, I thought that after the imperial doctor diagnosed and treated him and prescribed some medicine, my sense of taste would be restored. But after the imperial physician examined him, he said he was in good health and there was nothing wrong with him. Prince Jing thought that the resident imperial doctor in the mansion was too old and could not find out what was wrong with him. So he ran into the palace and asked the palace doctor to examine him. The imperial physician who could examine Prince Jing came to the same conclusion as the imperial physician in Prince Jing's palace. But Prince Jing insisted that his sense of taste had failed, and said that he had not tasted the food for 2 days in a row. Seeing that he didn't look like he was joking, the imperial doctor felt suspicious and checked his pulse again. But still no problem was found. Considering the noble status of Prince Jing, the imperial physician was worried that if something was really wrong with him, but he failed to detect it and misdiagnosed it, he would be blamed by the emperor and the queen mother, which he could not bear. To be on the safe side, other imperial doctors from the imperial hospital were invited to check Prince Jing's pulse. But 4 or 5 imperial doctors were changed in succession, and they all insisted that Prince Jing was in good health and there was nothing wrong with him. The emperor happened to hear about this, so he planned to call Prince Jing over to express his concern. When Prince Jing arrived, the emperor happened to be having a meal. In order to express his concern for his nephew, the emperor asked Prince Jing to accompany him to dinner. Prince Jing was very hungry, so he didn't delay. He thought that he would not be rude in front of the emperor. Even if he couldn't taste the food, he would still eat the food. However, unexpectedly, Prince Jing was satisfied with this royal meal. He could taste the food as usual. Prince Jing was wondering. Could it be that there was nothing wrong with his sense of taste, but he had been unlucky these past 2 days? The cook in the house forgot to put in the seasonings, and there was something wrong with the ingredients in the restaurant? That's why he couldn't taste it? The imperial doctors had examined him and found that there was nothing wrong with him, so Prince Jing was relieved. However, what Prince Jing did not expect was that after returning home, his sense of taste failed again. But the cook swore that she was unjust. In order to prove her innocence, the cook even made a new dish in front of Prince Jing and the servant. Prince Jing watched the cook add salt and soy sauce, but when he ate it, the braised pork tasted like chewing wax. There was no problem with the seasonings and the ingredients were fresh. Prince Jing could only attribute it to the fact that his sense of taste was indeed malfunctioning, but even the imperial doctor could not detect it. What is surprising is that Prince Jing's sense of taste has not always failed. When Prince Jing ate in the palace or outside, no matter what he ate, he could not taste it. But when he ate with Prince Jing, his sense of taste was normal. Furthermore, if he went to the palace to dine with the emperor or the queen mother, there would be no problem with his sense of taste. The emperor and the queen mother felt strange when they heard about this. So he ordered everyone from the dean of the imperial hospital to the lowest ranking imperial doctor to examine Prince Jing. However, all the imperial doctors unanimously concluded that there was no problem with Prince Jing's sense of taste. Prince Jing was troubled by this and didn't know what was wrong with his sense of taste. If no problem can be found, Prince Jing can do nothing. I can only comfort myself. It's just that my sense of taste sometimes fails, and it's not a life-threatening matter. However, when it was time to sleep, something strange happened again. Prince Jing was awakened by the heat several times every night. Every time he woke up, he found himself covered with a thick quilt. He thought it was the boy next to him who covered him up, so he told Chang'an not to cover him up when he was sleeping. But Chang'an said that he saw that it was too hot at night recently and did not cover him with a quilt. When Prince Jing saw that Chang'an had not lied, he went to the nanny again not to put a quilt on him. But the wet nurse said that he had grown up and had a servant on duty at night, so it was not like he would go to take care of him at night like he did when he was a child. Prince Jing thought for a while and thought it was a quilt that another maid and servant came to cover him at night. In order not to be woken up by the heat, Prince Jing decided to lock the doors and windows while sleeping so that no one could enter his bedroom. However, the strange thing is that he still woke up several times during the night due to heat, and each time he was still covered with a thick quilt. What makes Prince Jing even more upset is that when sleeping, he always feels like someone is lying next to him and sleeping with him. That's not all, there is something even more strange. Princess Jing discovered that her son would sometimes faint for no apparent reason. When he woke up, he felt that the brocade robe he was wearing did not look good, so she insisted on changing into women's clothes, combing her hair into a woman's bun, wearing women's headgear, and putting makeup on her face like a girl. After putting on a woman's attire, Crown Prince Jing will say that she is Crown Prince Jing's concubine. Furthermore, Princess Jing found that her son's voice had also changed, sounding like a girl's accent. Combined with Prince Jing's recent strange behavior, Princess Jing realized that her son must be haunted by a puppet spirit. Prince Jing's body is stained with dirt. If this news gets out, it will definitely arouse criticism. Princess Jing then found an excuse and transferred all the maids and women serving in his yard, leaving only Chang'an and the nanny. In order to drive away the puppet soul of Prince Jing and Princess Jing discussed it and decided to send the housekeeper to ask the Taoist priest Mingzhen of Kongsugwan to come and perform rituals. Unexpectedly, Taoist master Mingzhen had wandered away, so he invited his disciple, Taoist master Qingyang, over. After Neng Chui found out what happened to Prince Jing, he guessed that he was possessed by an evil spirit, so he helped him to invite Ling Chu. Please subscribe and vote. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 48. Chapter 48 Murder. Miss Ling, you are more capable than Taoist priest Qingyang. Please help me find out what's wrong with me. Prince Jing thought of the miserable days he had been living in the past few days and almost couldn't help crying. In all his life, he has never experienced a day when he couldn't eat well or sleep well. He was almost driven crazy. If I'm not wrong, the reason why these weird things happen around you should be because of you Xiaoyu. Seeing that everyone was puzzled, Ling Chu had no choice but to continue explaining. The reason why Prince Jing cannot taste the food is not because his sense of taste is malfunctioning. Generally speaking, if human food is eaten by ghosts, it will lose its original taste and become like chewing wax. That Yu Xiaoyu is with you, and she should also eat with you, so you will not be able to taste the food she has eaten. Prince Jing had a look of realization on his face. I see, but I still have something to puzzle about. Why is my sense of taste normal when I have a meal with my father? Prince Jing was puzzled. Could it be that when Jing ate with me, Yu Xiaoyu didn't eat with us? Ling Chu nodded. Your Majesty, your guess is correct. Although you are not the Emperor, and your body does not have as much dragon energy and righteousness as the Emperor, but because you are also the child of the late Emperor and the Queen Mother, you also have dragon energy to protect you. That Yu Xiaoyu is just an ordinary puppet soul. She doesn't dare to get close to you, let alone enjoy your meal. In the palace, in addition to the Emperor and the Queen Mother, there are also several princes living there, and the puppet souls outside do not dare to get even half a step closer. As for Prince Jing being woken up by the heat at night, because Yu Xiaoyu regarded herself as your crown prince and ate with you during the day, she naturally went to bed with you at night. That Yu Xiaoyu is a puppet soul and cannot feel the heat herself. She also takes care of you as her husband. She is afraid that you will catch cold at night, so she always covers you with a brocade quilt. After hearing this, Crown Prince Jing was very upset. He is still a child, but he has actually eaten and slept with a puppet soul for several days in the past few days. Thinking about it makes him feel uncomfortable all over. Prince Jing decided that he would ask manager Lu to help him hire a team of craftsmen to renovate the courtyard where he lived. Everything in the dormitory that can be replaced must be replaced, especially the big bed he slept on and the brocade quilt on the bed. They were not required and the servants dragged them out and threw them away. If he didn't replace it with a new one, Prince Jing felt that he would not be able to sleep well in the future. Prince Jing and Princess Jing also felt that their son wanted to renovate the yard, and neither husband nor wife had any objection. Prince Jing's family has a big business, so renovating the yard or replacing furniture is not a big deal. The peace of mind for his son is more important than anything else. Miss Ling, fortunately you took away that Yuziu, which finally made me feel relieved I can finally get some sleep tonight. Ling Chu glanced at Prince Jing's shiny black yintang and poured a bucket of cold water on him. You are happy too early. Prince Jing's smile faltered. What does Miss Ling mean by this? Is there something unclean around him? Prince Jing had goosebumps on his arms, and he glanced around suspiciously. Ning Chui glanced at the suspicious Prince Jing with disgust. Could it be that he was really beaten stupid by Prince Jing? He doesn't have yin and yang eyes, so he can't see even if there are puppet souls around him. When Prince Jing and Princess Jing heard Ling Chu's words, their hearts suddenly lifted. Miss Ling, is there something wrong with Jing-er? Seeing that Prince Jing was restless, Ling Chu gave him a reassurance. Don't worry, Prince, there are no other puppets around you. Prince Jing glared, but he did not dare to get angry. He could only pat his chest and smile bitterly. Auntie, if you didn't tell me clearly earlier, you scared me to death. Princess Jing glared at her son with disgust. His courage was much worse than that of his father. Having been disliked by his father and then by his mother and concubine, Crown Prince Jing felt that he was really pitiful, but he didn't have as much dragon spirit as his father. The puppet soul didn't dare to approach his father, but he chose him as a soft persimmon to squeeze. Who should he ask to reason with? Princess Jing disliked her son, but she smiled at Ling Chu. Miss Ling, what you just said, does it mean there is something wrong with Jing-er? Prince Jing was born into a noble family and has royal blood. Although he is not the emperor, he still carries the righteousness of the royal family. It is expected that he will not be exposed to unclean things easily. But when he was in General Minggui's mansion, Li Lingmu was not afraid of his righteousness, and Yu Xiaoyu's ghost dared to haunt him day and night, and even dared to go directly to him. This was abnormal. Miss Ling, then, can you see what caused it? I see that the Crown Prince's yintang has turned black, and he has been haunted by the remaining embroidered moon for so long. His body is already suffering. If we don't find out the problem and solve it, the Crown Prince will face a catastrophe. It can range from a disaster of blood and light to a serious disaster. Loss of life. The expressions of Prince Jing and his wife both changed. Even the look on Ning Chui's face became cautious. Please ask Miss Ling to help resolve this issue. Ling Chu did not refuse. Since she had intervened in the matter and the system had issued a task, she helped Prince Jing solve his troubles and she could also get rewards from the system. Since it was something that benefited both parties, she had no reason not to take action. Please also ask the princess to tell the prince's birth date, and I will tell him his fortune first. Princess Jing took it very seriously as it related to her son's life and immediately wrote the birth date of Prince Jing to Ling Chu. After Ling Chu purified his hands, he lit incense, and then used tortoise shells and copper coins to perform hexagrams. Miss Ling, what's wrong with this hexagram? Princess Jing saw that Ling Chu had been looking at the hexagram for a long time, but frowned and remained silent for a long time. Her heart suddenly jumped up and down, for fear that something would happen to her son. Ling Chu didn't say anything, not because he was deliberately showing off, but because he was worried about how to explain to Prince Jing and his wife. The hexagram she made for Prince Jing showed that he was being assassinated by his brothers. Prince Jing's palace has a special status, and the status of anyone who dares to murder Prince Jing's son must not be simple. Ling Chu didn't want to get involved in the family disputes in Prince Jing's palace. She was just an insignificant person. She was afraid to say it directly because she didn't even know how she died. Seeing that Ling Chu didn't speak for a long time, Prince Jing frowned and said, "If you have anything to say, it's okay for me to say it." At this point, it is impossible not to tell, but Ling Chu did not choose to tell everything, but said vaguely, "Prince Jing's life is precious, there is no big problem." Princess Jing was stunned. If this was the case, why did Miss Ling look so hard to explain? Does the girl still have something to say? Thanks to 202209080850439119, Silver, Gummy, 202303061958333531, 20230601621658, Mu Hibiscus. EC, Little Yellow Croaker, Cheen Yinlian, Fat Girl, Sis Fine Lily, 2023-012-4776. DA, 20230129429280, Chu Wantina, 20230205915578, I have always relied on you, what do you think you are? Supported by book friends such as Shat, Swallow 330, Garfield. DD, at and Amp, at, Midnight at Sunshine, UN1, Zinkson Mama, Xiaya Yuhi, 2023-061-0344. CE, Mo Yanur and stars as company. Thank you again. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 49. Chapter 49 Burial Objects. Ling Chu nodded. According to the hexagrams, the reason Prince Jing's fortune has been low recently and has been stained with dirt is probably due to the influence of foreign objects. As for what it is, I have to check it before I can confirm it. Affected by foreign objects, Princess Jing's expression changed. She had experienced countless house fights, and many thoughts flashed through her mind at that moment. Whatever needs to be done, Miss Ling, feel free to do it. If there is anything you need our help with, please let us know and we will try our best to cooperate with you. Ling Chu was not surprised by Princess Jing's attitude. Prince Jing is her only legitimate son, and will inherit Prince Jing's title in the future. Since Princess Jing has suspected that someone is plotting to kill her son, she must find out the truth of the matter. What Princess Jing could think of, Prince Jing naturally also thought of. He must have attached great importance to his only legitimate son. At that moment, Prince Jing also had a lot of thoughts in his mind. His son was not the only Prince Jing, but he always paid attention to the distinction between direct descendants and concubines. Could anyone dare to ignore his words? Prince Jing and concubine Jing are both human beings, and Prince Jing is not a fool either. However, seeing his father, queen, mother, and concubine present, he didn't say much. He just asked Ling Chu how to investigate and where to start. Ling Chu saw that Prince Jing and his wife had no objection, so he went directly and said, "Let's go to your dormitory first." "Let's go, I'll take you there." Prince Jing couldn't wait to find out what had caused him so much suffering recently. If he knew who was plotting to kill him, he would never make it easy for him. Seeing Ling Chu walking out with Prince Jing, Ning Chui put down the teacup in his hand and followed him slowly. Ling Chu turned around and glanced at him. Why was Mr. Ning so free today? He stayed in Prince Jing's mansion for most of the day, but he didn't return to the Jinyue Yamen to handle official business. Ning Chui saw the confusion in her eyes at a glance, took a few steps forward with her long legs, and walked side by side with them. Then he said casually, "Today is a holiday." "Oh, no wonder I'm free." Seeing them all going to Prince Jing's bedroom together, Prince Jing and the princess followed them. The bedroom of Prince Jing is not only spacious, but the furnishings inside are all of high quality. Almost everything in it was carefully selected by Princess Jing for her son. Ling Chu followed Prince Jing into the bedroom and looked at it carefully. The cloud ceiling in the dormitory is carved with exquisite patterns, and huge luminous pearls are hung on a row of crystal jade stones beside the wall for lighting. Ling Chu's eyes scanned the furnishings in the room, and soon fell on the big bed in the room. On the large sandalwood bed that is 6 to 7 feet wide, there are ingenious patterns carved on it. A crocodile silk tent hangs beside the bed. On the tent, the exquisitely embroidered picture of 100 butterflies picking flowers gently sways with the breeze. At first glance, the butterfly seems to have come alive. There is a pair of lotus pillows on the bed, and a brocade quilt of the same color embroidered with a pattern of mandarin ducks playing in the water, neatly stacked inside the bed. Princess Jing frowned when she saw the pair of pillows and brocade quilt. They were not the ones she chose for her son. Prince Jing followed the gazes of Ling Chu and Princess Jing, and his cheeks suddenly twitched. His entire reputation was ruined by that female puppet Yu Xiaoyu. Ling Chu didn't pay much attention to the brocade quilt on the bed. Her eyes were attracted by a pair of white jade tent hooks carved with 2 dragons playing with beads on the crocodile gauze tent. "Miss Ling, is there something wrong with the tent hook?" Seeing Ling Chu staring at the tent hook, Princess Jing's heart moved and she immediately wanted to step forward and take it off. Ling Chu's heart tightened and he quickly spoke to stop her. "Princess, don't move." Princess Jing was puzzled. It was just a pair of tent hooks. Why was Miss Ling so nervous? If I read it correctly, this pair of account hooks should be buried as a burial object, and they were unearthed no more than 3 months ago. The most important thing is that there is a sense of resentment on this account hook. Princess Jing has a distinguished status. If she was contaminated, Ling Chu would have to work hard to help her get rid of her resentment. Prince Jing must have been using this tent hook for some time. Princess Jing's expression changed. She didn't expect that her son's bedroom would contain such unlucky things. "Jing where did this pair of tent hooks come from?" Prince Jing frowned and thought for a while before he said uncertainly, "This thing has been hanging in my bedroom for about a month. As for where it came from, I don't know. As a prince, there are dedicated maids and servants to take care of the food, clothing, housing, and transportation around him. How does he know where this thing comes from? I can remember that this tent hook was used for about a month, because he has a good memory and the tent hook is exquisitely carved. When he found it, he took a look at it several times. Although this white jade tent hook was special, he didn't pay much attention to it. After all, as the only legitimate son of Prince Jing, he had seen countless good things since he was a child, but he didn't expect that this was a burial object that had just been unearthed. Princess Jing wanted to immediately call the maids and servants who were serving in Prince Jing's yard for questioning, but she was stopped by Prince Jing. "Don't worry, let Miss Ling check it out to see if there is anything else wrong. After checking it out, I will deal with it together." Seeing that Prince Jing had no intention of protecting the person behind his back, Princess Jing felt better. Ling Chu didn't want to know the origin of this thing. She took out a pair of special gloves and put them on, stepped forward and unhooked the account, asked Chang'an to find a box for her, put it in, and then put an exorcism charm on it. In Prince Jing's bedroom, except for the account hook, there was nothing wrong with anything else. But there is it in his little study. As the only legitimate son of Prince Jing was taught by his tutor in the study room with several princes when he was a child. However, he was naughty and did not like reading. He always loved to make trouble in class and was often punished and criticized by his tutor. Although he no longer has to study with the grand tutor, Prince Jing's study is still full of everything he should have. Ling Chu used his magic to take a look and found something wrong. Seeing Ling Chu take out his favorite brush with a handkerchief as a cushion, Prince Jing's brows were almost furrowed. "What's wrong with this? This writing brush, like the tent hook, is a burial object, and there are dead people's finger bones hidden in the pen, and the hair is caught in the brush. The resentment on this piece is more powerful than that on the tent hook. Ling Chu glanced at Prince Jing sympathetically. Fortunately, he was of royal blood and protected by dragon energy, otherwise he would have been killed by these two things. If it weren't for the resentment of these two burial objects, he wouldn't have been so easily approached by the ghosts of Li Lingmu and Yu Xiaoyu. Prince Jing's face turned ugly. This is. Seeing that he was about to tell the origin of the brush, Ling Chu interrupted him first. My lord and princess, except for the tent hook and this brush, everything else in the prince's yard is fine. I stayed out for a long time today. My parents should be worried. Ling Chu will come back another day to visit the prince and princess. Today is the annual Dragon Boat Festival. I wish everyone a happy Dragon Boat Festival. Babies, are you all on holiday? Are the rice dumplings you eat during the Dragon Boat Festival sweet or salty? Have you ever gone to see a dragon boat race? End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 50. Chapter 50 Avoiding Seeing. Ling Chu didn't want to get involved in Prince Jing's family affairs, and Princess Jing could understand. Besides, if something like this happens in the house, the prince definitely doesn't want the family to be scandalized. Now that the unlucky thing has been found, Miss Ling has helped a lot today, and she can no longer force the person to stay. Although this Miss Ling is not very old, her master Xianyi is an expert, even respected by the imperial master. It seems that she has been fostered in Xianqing Temple over the years and learned a lot of skills from her master. This time when I came to Prince Jing's mansion, I not only took in the female puppet, but also helped find those two unlucky things. This Miss Ling was simply her and Jing's savior. Princess Jing had a good impression of Ling Chu. When she saw her saying goodbye, she asked manager Lu to prepare a generous gift, and then ordered the steward around her to send her out of the house. Ning Chui brought Ling Chu to her. She was about to leave, so Ning Chui said goodbye to Prince Jing and his wife. Prince Jing sent the two of them to the door of the mansion. Before Ling Chu left, he took out a brocade bag and handed it to Prince Jing. You are stained with yin energy. Here is an exorcism charm and a protective mirror. Remember to carry it with you every day and never leave it. When Prince Jing heard that it was a life-saving thing, he immediately reached out to take it with bright eyes, patted his chest and said, Miss Ling, if you encounter anything in the future and need help, you can have someone come to me in Prince Jing's mansion. I will protect you. Come on, you can walk sideways in Kyoto from now on. Ling Chu twitched the corner of his mouth and didn't take Prince Jing's words to heart. Thank you, Your Majesty, but I have no interest in being a crab. Although I helped you today, your mother-in-law also gave you a generous gift. It's not that Ling Chu is arrogant, but she always likes to solve problems by herself. Besides, favors should be used wisely. Chang'an was standing aside, remembering that Ling Chu said that he smelled bad and was stained with yin energy, so he shamelessly stepped forward and begged Ling Chu to give him an amulet as well. Ling Chu did not refuse, and took out another amulet and handed it to Chang'an. Sincerity benefits 10 taels. Chang'an was stunned, but he didn't expect that he would have to pay for this talisman. But thinking of the female puppet, Chang'an was afraid that something might happen to him if he was stained with yin energy, so he didn't dare to have any objections to Ling Chu. He took out the banknote and handed it over, then took the amulet and put it in his arms. Ning Chui and Ling Chu came out of Prince Jing's mansion, one on horseback and the other in a carriage. After getting on the carriage, Ling Chu casually pinched a spell, unlocked the blocked sense of smell, and breathed a long sigh of relief. Prince Jing's body was stained with the smell of Yu Xiaoyu's corpse. In order not to be dizzy by the smell, she had to block her sense of smell. Miss Ling, what technique did you use to draw Yu Xiaoyu today? It looks extremely lifelike. Ning Chui was very surprised by the painting Ling Chu painted today. He has never seen such a realistic painting method. He wanted to ask when he was in Prince Jing's mansion, but seeing that the occasion was inappropriate, he didn't ask. That's a sketch after a long day of exhaustion. Ling Chu felt a little drowsy after getting on the carriage. When she heard Master Ning's words, she didn't pay attention and said casually, "I wanted to ask what sketching was, but when I saw her face was pale and her eyes were closed, she was leaning tiredly on the car." Ning Chui I swallowed the words that came to her lips. Miss Ling's sketches are really lifelike. If they were used to draw the wanted criminals of the imperial court, or to trace the portraits of criminals, they would definitely be effective. It's just that she is not in good health, so I can only find her another day to ask her about the drawing method of the sketch. Ling Chu was on the horse and had fallen asleep from exhaustion. He had no idea that Master Ning had another idea of his own. Ling Chu just woke up when he returned to the front door of Ling Mansion. After sleeping for a while, she finally felt better. Seeing that she, a girl, could sleep so peacefully in a carriage, Ning Chui I couldn't help but said, "You are really big-hearted, and you are not afraid that someone will betray you after you fall asleep. Didn't Mr. Ning say that he is a smart man and won't do loss-making business? In that case, what else do I have to worry about?" Seeing his expression of having nothing to say, Ling Chu waved his hand casually, "Ning my lord, it's easy to leave." Ning Chui I saw her abandoning her words and turning around to enter the house. She was silent, then turned around helplessly and rode away with her guards. "Hey, big girl, are you finally willing to come back?" As soon as Ling Chu stepped into the flower hall, the second lady heard the movement and couldn't help but stabbed her as soon as she opened her mouth. "Second aunt, are you missing me? I didn't know that second aunt cares so much about the juniors in the house." The second madam choked. Who would care about a disaster star who punished 6 relatives? If she didn't think that she still had money on her, she wouldn't even bother to look at her. Even though she hated Ling Chu, the second lady's eyes flickered when she saw that she was carrying a lot of things, and she swallowed back the dissatisfaction that came to her lips. After Ling Chu left today, the second lady thought that she was now penniless, so she went back to her parents' home. Originally, she wanted to borrow some money from her parents' family, but unexpectedly, the doorkeeper saw her and wouldn't even let her in. When she asked the reason, the boy only said that the masters of the house were out and it was difficult to let an outsider into the house. The second lady was angry after hearing this, but no matter what she said, the boy would not let her in. In fact, not only the second wife went back to her natal family to borrow money, the eldest wife, the third wife, several concubines, and even the eldest master to the third master all went out to find relatives and friends today, hoping to borrow some silver to tide over the current difficulties. But except for the eldest lady, who borrowed 50 taels from her mother's family, everyone else returned empty-handed. Those old in-laws from the house of Hubei Shangshu were worried that if they still interacted with the people in the Ling house, they would be implicated and rejected by the emperor, ruining their own family's future, so they all avoided them. Meals. When the eldest lady thought about returning to her parents' home, her father, mother, brothers, and sisters-in-law who once loved her avoided seeing her. Her mother only let her nanny secretly stuff 50 taels of silver notes to her, and her heart felt like a cold lake for thousands of years. She used to be the eldest lady of the Shangshu mansion, and everyone greeted her with a smile. Now that she was in a state of poverty, she immediately avoided her like a snake or a scorpion. This gap made the eldest lady angry and jealous, and at the same time unwilling to accept it. Now that her husband has become a white man, the only one she can rely on is her eldest son. She must find a way to find a future for him. After gathering her thoughts, Ms. Dong waved to her eldest daughter lovingly, "Sister Chu, you are hungry. Come here quickly. We are waiting for you to serve dinner." Ling Chu had been busy all day and didn't eat much. When he saw the food on the table, he washed his hands and sat down to eat. Perhaps seeing that Ling Chu had brought back a lot of things today, everyone's attitude towards her was quite gentle, and even the second lady didn't make any fuss. After finishing the meal, Ling Chu picked out a few supplements from Princess Jing and gave them to Ms. Tai to replenish her health. She also took some food suitable for Ling Hao and gave them to Mrs. Dong. He divided the pieces of cloth he brought back among them. In addition to the tonics and fabrics, Prince Jing's mansion also gave Ling Chu 3,000 taels of silver notes as a thank you gift. With those 3,000 taels, Ling Chu didn't mind trading those supplements and cloths for a piece of cleanliness. Perhaps I received a lot of cold looks when I went out today. This time I took Ling Chu's things, and everyone had a rare smile on their faces. Early in the morning, the sky just showed a hint of fish belly white. Ling Chu suddenly felt a coldness around him and just opened his eyes and woke up from his dream. I happened to see the ghost of Gurdjieff coming through the wall from outside. Thanks to book friends such as Mufong. EC 202303061958333531, Eternal Love, and 20230306899573 for their votes. Since it was put on the shelves, it has lost a lot of book friends. Have you all given up on Ling Chu? It's so sad. End of this chapter.